Don't we have a binder chart?
Yes, we'll talk about that later. Okay, here we go. Today we're going to do writing equations. And this is just an extension of our parallel lines and perpendicular lines unit. So we're going to write equations based on parallel and perpendicular lines. So the first thing we want to do is we want to write an equation in slope-intercept form, which is what? Y equals mx plus b. Okay? Of a line that passes through the point 5, 9 and is parallel to this equation. Okay, so our first example is to write a line in y equals mx plus b form that passes through the point 5, 9 and is parallel to y equals 2/5 x minus 4. How do you think we do that? Okay?
Can you do the regular slope-intercept form for 5 and 9 to get the y equals mx plus b on that to find the y-intercept of it, and then you can do it from there, but you can break it down really hard.
Kind of. You're making it a little, you're missing something. What's the first thing I need to find? Let's do it that way. Okay, JD.
Point slope form.
We're going to use a point slope form, but what was the first thing I need to find? I need to know what slope I'm dealing with. So what is the slope that I'm going to be working with?
2/5.
How do I know it's 2/5? Yeah, so I have a slope of 2/5 because it's got to be parallel to that, and then I'm going to use this point, and like JD said, I'm going to use a point slope formula, or form, which is what? Y minus y1 equals, okay?
That's what I mean.
Okay, so that's the slope formula, point slope formula, excuse me. So how do I solve that?
You put it in.
What? Yeah, oh, plug, I think this is a calculator, yeah. Plug the numbers in. So go ahead and plug it in. What do I have? Somebody help me out. Plug it in.
Y minus 9 equals 2/5 x minus 5.
Okay? Now I want it to be slope-intercept form because I'm not done there. So what do I got to do now? Okay, I got to distribute. Am I going to do anything with this y minus 9? No. So it stays y minus 9. 2/5 x times, 2/5 times x is 2/5 x. 2/5 times negative 5 is negative 2, because these cancel, right? Okay, so negative 2. Now what? Add 9. Okay, I don't subtract it because it's negative already, so I want to add 9 to both sides. Only to like terms. And I end up with y equals. Very good. A quick way that I can do an eyeball test to make sure it's right is I can look here and make sure that I still end up with 2/5 and that's 2/5, right? If you mess up there, you want to make sure you check that at the very least. Okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, how come you can't add 2 to both sides? You can't.
Because, okay, she said, why don't we add 2 to both sides? We could, but we were trying to do what?
Less work.
Trying to get y by itself. So that would be bringing stuff towards the y. Yes, Nick Mueller.
What does y equals 2 over 5x minus 4? Like at the very top.
Okay, why do we have this? What's the only purpose for this?
That's
Right,
just
something
the other
parallel
side.
to it?
You can be parallel to that.
I need to be parallel to that. So what's the only thing I use from that thing?
Slope.
The slope. I need to have that equation so I can see the slope. Okay? All right, let's look at another example.
Do you have to find that specific equation, or do you need
Yeah, it's that specific equation because why?
other points?
Because of the points. It gave you specific points, and because of the specific points, it's going to always create that specific equation. This is not one of those times where you say, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to, I need to find a line parallel to y equals 2/5 x. And it goes through 5, 9. You can't just say, oh, well, y equals 2/5 x plus 17. Is that parallel? Yeah, it is. But the problem is what's wrong with this?
It doesn't match
It's
up
not
with the
5.
Yeah, it probably won't go to this point. We've got to use this point in order to make sure it goes to that point. Does that make sense? Okay, so that won't work. You don't just make up any equation. You actually have to use point slope form. Okay, let's look at another example. Same thing. Okay. This time, we're going to go through point 18, negative 10. Thank you. It's got to be parallel to y equals negative 2/9 x minus 5. Okay? So first thing I need to do is do what? Not point slope.
Find the slope.
I need to identify the slope I'm going to be working with, which is what?
Negative
I'm going to be using negative 2/9. I'm going to show you something different on this one too. So my slope that I'm going to be working with is negative 2/9. Okay, now, normally, we'd use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if you're comfortable with that, use that. Okay? But for those of you who are more advanced, or who have mastered that, I'm going to show you something else. I personally find that to be useless. Okay? I don't use that for anything ever. And last year when I taught algebra 1 or algebra 2, I showed this to the students when I'm about to show you, and they're like, "Man, I wish they would have showed us that in algebra 1." So I'm going to show you this year, and some of you can use it, and if you don't, that's fine. Instead of using this, okay, I'm going to use slope-intercept form. Because here's the deal. In 5 years from now, or 2 years from now, maybe even a year from now, you'll forget point-slope formula. You will, because we don't use it that often. But in 10 years from now, you will remember y equals mx plus b. It's just something that's like riding a bike, because we talk about it all the time. So I'm going to use this form. What I'm going to do is instead of, I need b, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in what I know. Do I have a y value? Yeah, what's my y value? So I'm going to plug in negative 10 where y is. What's my slope? Negative 2/9. Then I'm going to plug in my x value, which is what? 18 plus b. Now I'm going to solve for b. Okay? What's the first thing I'm going to do? There's no distribution on this one.
Multiply negative 2/9
Yeah.
by
Yeah, multiply negative 2/9 by 18, so what do I get?
36 over 9. 4.
4? Okay. So negative 4, right? Because negative times positive, negative 4 plus b. Now what? Add 4 to both sides. And I end up with what? Negative 6 equals b. Now I'm not done here yet. I still need the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through those points and is parallel to y equals negative 2/9 x minus 5. So all I'm going to do is rewrite the equation in y equals mx plus b form. So y equals, and there you go.
Wow.
Same thing. Oh, why can't y'all see that? That's weird. I wrote the answer up here, but you can't see it.
Is
Oh.
it down there where the bottom half of it was darkest?
Okay, so what do we say the answer was?
Y equals negative 2/9 x minus 6.
Y equals negative 2/9 x minus 6. Anyhow, what I was saying was, is if I did that again, using point slope form, point slope form, then I would still get the same answer. Okay? It just depends on how you want to do it. I prefer this way because I find it to be quicker, especially if you're good at solving equations. I find this to be quicker, and I don't have to distribute. I don't have to move anything away from the y. Okay? All I have to do is solve for b and then plug it back in. Okay? Okay. 2 more quick examples. Same thing we were doing, except this time, the natural progression is to go to perpendicular. So I'm going to be given this point, negative 3 comma 1. I want to write an equation in slope-intercept form that's perpendicular to y equals 1/3 x plus 9. Okay, first thing I need to do is what? Identify my slope. What's my slope this time?
Negative 3.
-3. Okay, flip it, which would be 3 over 1, right? That's the reciprocal, making it 3 over 1. Reduce that to 3. The opposite would be from a positive to a negative, so -3. Okay, now, just because I have to, we're gonna use our point slope form. We'll do one of each.
Wait, you don't have to.
No, because I have to, because that's my job to teach you point slope form.
Oh.
So we'll do one of each. Okay? So then I plug this in, I have y, what? Y minus 1 equals? So x minus 3, minus -3, or x plus 3, right? I just went ahead and combined my negative signs into a positive right there. So let's go ahead and solve. What's the first step? Distribute. So y minus 1 equals -3x, -3 times +3, -9. Now what? Add 1 to both sides. Y equals -3x minus 8. Okay? Any question? And again, double check yourself by looking at the slope. I have a slope of 1/3. Is this the opposite reciprocal? If it is, then you at least got that part right, so you're in the right direction. All right, one more example, and then I'll cut you loose on your work. Okay, I have a point, 10 and -3. I want a perpendicular to the equation, y equals -5x plus 2. So what's the slope I'm working with? Just positive 1/5, right? Because it's negative already, so the opposite would be positive. 5 over 1, you flip it, becomes 1 over 5. This time we'll plug it into y equals mx plus b. So how do I fill that out? Times 10 plus b. Okay, -3 equals. What's 1/5 times 10? 2. Plus b. Now what? Subtract 2. End up with -5 equals b. And my equation is y equals. There you go. Okay, any questions on that?
That is so much quicker. Point slope form.
So you have to rewrite the slope as 1/5.
Yeah, because remember we decided at the beginning we were using that. Yes? Right. And here's the thing. This is great only as long as you remember to go ahead and plug it back in the right way. Yes?
Only on perpendicular you have to do the reciprocal for the slope, but not on parallel.
Right, parallel is the same slope. Perpendicular is opposite reciprocal.